Hey there folks, thanks for joining me today as we dig into a story that's got the whole auto world talking. You know me, I'm Mike Rowe, and I've seen my fair share of tough jobs. Jobs that test your grit, your patience, and your resolve. But what's happening right now in the American auto industry is something else entirely. It's not just about hard work, it's about survival. Let me tell you, the American auto industry is facing a real humdinger right now. We're talking about empty lots where cars used to fly off the shelves, factories that once buzzed with life now eerily silent, and a sense of uncertainty hanging in the air. At the center of it all are some of the most iconic brands in American history: Jeep, Dodge, and Chrysler. These names have been a part of our lives for generations, and now they're all under the massive umbrella of their parent company, Stellantis, a global powerhouse that suddenly found itself on shaky ground. And right now things ain't pretty. Showrooms are emptier than ever, sales are dropping, and the folks who keep these brands running are feeling the pressure like never before. See, Stellantis is staring down the barrel of a full-blown crisis. The numbers don't lie. Profits have taken a nosedive, and the company's leadership is scrambling to figure out what went wrong and how to fix it before things get even worse. Profits have plummeted, trust with their dealers is busted, and American workers are feeling the squeeze. The people who build, sell, and service these cars are worried about their futures, and who can blame them? This ain't just some fender bender, folks. This is a multi-car pileup, a crisis with layers of complexity, and if we don't untangle it soon, the ripple effects could hit every corner of the American auto industry, from the assembly line to your driveway. But before we dive into the nitty-gritty, let's make one thing clear. This isn't about pointing fingers or laying blame. It's about coming together to understand what's really going on, and how we can support the people who make this industry tick. It's about understanding the challenges, respecting the hard work of the people on the front lines, and finding a path forward that keeps American manufacturing strong and our communities thriving. So, buckle up, because we're about to take a ride through the current state of the American auto industry, a journey that's as much about people as it is about cars, and one that could shape the future of American manufacturing for years to come. So, what's got Stellantis' gears grinding? The company, which owns big-name brands like Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler, and Peugeot, is facing a perfect storm of financial headaches. It's not just a single issue. They're getting squeezed from all sides, and the pressure is mounting. Their profits have taken a nosedive, and that's never a good sign. We're talking about a 70% drop in profits. That's like going from making $100 to barely scraping by with 30. Ouch. For a company of Stellantis' size, that's a massive hit, one that sends shockwaves through the entire auto industry. Investors are worried, employees are anxious, and competitors are watching closely to see what happens next. There are a few culprits here. First off, they haven't been selling as many cars. People just aren't buying like they used to, and that's a big problem when you're sitting on a lot full of shiny new vehicles. It's like having a fridge full of food that's about to go bad. You gotta move it, and fast. The reasons for this slowdown are complex. Rising interest rates, economic uncertainty, and changing consumer preferences all play a part. Plus, with more people holding onto their cars longer, dealerships are left with more inventory than they can handle. Second, the cars they are selling are costing them more to build. Think about it, the price of steel, aluminum, even those computer chips that make our cars go beep beep, they've all gone up. Supply chain disruptions and global shortages have made it harder and more expensive to get the parts they need. And those costs get passed down the line, making it tougher for Stellantis to turn a profit. Every extra dollar spent on materials eats into their bottom line, and there's only so much they can do to offset those expenses. And finally, they've had to slash prices on some models just to get them off the lot. Remember that inventory glut I mentioned? Well, when you've got too many cars and not enough buyers, you gotta sweeten the deal. That means offering bigger discounts, more incentives, and sometimes even taking a loss just to clear space for new models. And that means lower profits for Stellantis. It's a tough balancing act trying to keep customers happy, move inventory, and stay afloat financially. For Stellantis, the road ahead looks bumpy and they'll need to make some big moves to turn things around. Now let's talk about the folks on the front lines of the car-selling business, the dealers. These are the people who make the magic happen, day in and day out, connecting customers with the vehicles they need and want. They're the ones who keep the lights on at local dealerships, building relationships in their communities, and working tirelessly to keep customers happy. These men and women greet you with a smile, hand you the keys for a test drive, and do their best to get you behind the wheel of your dream car. They're not just salespeople, they're trusted advisors, problem solvers, and sometimes even friends to their loyal customers. Their job is about more than just moving metal. It's about creating a positive experience that keeps people coming back. But right now, the relationship between Stellantis and its dealers is about as smooth as a gravel road. Tensions are running high, and what used to be a partnership is starting to feel more like a standoff. Communication has broken down, and both sides are feeling the strain. You see, dealers are hurting. They're feeling the pressure from a significant sales slump, and they're not too happy with how Stellantis has been treating them lately. Many feel left out of important decisions, and they worry that their concerns are falling on deaf ears. Imagine being told to sell more cars, but the cars you're given are either too expensive for your customers, or simply not what people in your area are looking for. That's the tough situation many dealers are facing right now. They're stuck between corporate demands and the reality of what their customers actually want and can afford. There's a real lack of trust, and that's bad news for everyone involved. When dealers feel unsupported and unheard, it creates a toxic environment that makes it even harder to work together toward common goals. Dealers are the face of the company, and when they're unhappy, it shows. Their frustration can't help but spill over into their interactions with customers, and it's hard to hide when morale is low. Customers pick up on that tension, and it can seriously affect their decision to buy a car. If the people selling the cars don't seem confident or enthusiastic, why should the customer be? It's a vicious cycle that needs to be broken before it does lasting damage to both the dealers and Stellantis itself. The future of the brand depends on rebuilding trust and finding a way forward, together. Now let's talk about the folks who are feeling the pinch the most. The American car buyer. Remember when you could snag a brand new car for a decent price? Well, those days seem long gone. Car prices have skyrocketed, and for many working folks, owning a new car is starting to feel like an impossible dream. Stellantis has been jacking up prices on their vehicles, and while they're not the only ones doing it, it's putting a strain on American families. People are struggling to afford groceries, gas, and rent, and the last thing they need is another big expense. And here's the kicker. Stellantis hasn't exactly been churning out the most fuel-efficient models. With gas prices still high, folks are looking for ways to save money at the pump, and a gas guzzler just doesn't cut it these days. It's a tough sell, and American buyers are feeling the squeeze. Adding fuel to the fire, Stellantis has been grappling with some serious production headaches. We're talking factory slowdowns, part shortages, and even full-blown plant closures. It's kind of like trying to bake a cake with only half the ingredients and a broken oven. It ain't gonna be pretty. These production woes mean fewer cars are rolling off the assembly line, which only exacerbates the inventory problems we talked about earlier. And when production slows down, workers feel the pain, layoffs, reduced hours, and uncertainty about the future. These are the realities facing many hardworking Americans in the auto industry. And then there are the labor disputes. The folks who build these cars, the men and women on the factory floor, they're fighting for fair wages, better benefits, and a say in their future. When tensions run high, it can lead to strikes, which further disrupt production and create more headaches for everyone involved. Now I know what you're thinking, Mike, this all sounds pretty grim. Is there any hope for Stellantis and the American auto industry? Well, here's the deal. The auto industry is a massive machine, and when one part starts to sputter, it can have a ripple effect throughout the entire system. We're talking about thousands of jobs at stake, not just at Stellantis, but also at the dealerships, the parts suppliers, and all the businesses that depend on a healthy auto industry. And when people lose their jobs, it impacts their families, their communities, and the entire economy. This isn't just about cars, folks. It's about livelihoods, about the American dream, and about the future of a vital industry. We need to find a way to get things back on track, and that starts with understanding the challenges and working together to find solutions. So, how do we get this jalopy back on the road? Well, it's going to take some hard work, some tough decisions, and a whole lot of communication. First and foremost, Stellantis needs to rebuild trust with its dealers. These are the folks on the front lines, the ones who interact with customers every day. They need to feel heard, supported, and valued. Second, Stellantis needs to take a long, hard look in the mirror and figure out what kind of car company they want to be. Do they want to be known for building gas-guzzling dinosaurs? or do they want to embrace the future and invest in fuel-efficient vehicles that people actually want to buy? Third, they need to find a way to get their production back on track. That means addressing the supply chain issues, investing in their factories, and working collaboratively with their workforce. Happy workers mean a productive workforce, and that's good for everyone. But it's not just up to Stellantis. The entire US auto industry needs to adapt and evolve if it wants to thrive in the 21st century. We're talking about embracing new technologies like electric vehicles and autonomous driving, while also finding ways to make traditional gasoline-powered cars more fuel-efficient. And let's not forget about the workers. We need to make sure that American workers have the skills and training they need to succeed in the evolving auto industry. That means investing in education, apprenticeships, and job training programs that prepare workers for the jobs of the future. The road ahead may be bumpy, but with hard work, collaboration, and a little bit of ingenuity, I believe we can steer the American auto industry towards a brighter future. Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. The situation at Stellantis and the challenges facing the US auto industry are complex. But here's the thing I've learned from years of getting my hands dirty: when the going gets tough, Americans roll up their sleeves and get to work. This isn't a time for finger-pointing or blame games. It's a time for honest conversations, creative solutions, and a shared commitment to finding a path forward. We need Stellantis to step up, we need the government to do its part, and we need American workers to be ready to adapt and embrace the future. The American auto industry has always been a symbol of innovation, resilience, and the power of hard work, and I'm confident that together, we can overcome these challenges and build a stronger, more sustainable future for one of America's most iconic industries. Now let's get to work.